Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so Rudy Gobert apparently wants out of Utah. Or, it's been reported it's more or less he's at the point where it's either me or him, referring to Donovan Mitchell. This is. I don't know if this is even really news necessarily because I think the whole chatter about the Utah Jazz is that everybody expects the team to be blown up anyway. So I don't know if this is kind of a way to stir up um, some controversy about the team so that they can possibly get some takers, some people interested, get some people dreaming about Rudy being on their team. Because that's what this seems like to me, to be honest with you. Um, that's like me saying on my last day I quit. Like everybody's, the whole company is going out of business, and on my last day I just say I'm sick of this. I'm leaving. What are you talking about? We're all leaving, dude. Nobody's staying. So that's what this kind of sounds like to me. This is more so publicity. That's what it feels like. Honestly, NBA starting up nonsense, or media stirring up nonsense. Whatever, same thing basically. They all want to bring promotion to the league and bring promotion to themselves. So that's what all of this is about. A lot of the time, I think in some cases they really do strum up nonsense, um, just to get people talking. That's really it in regards to transactions and stuff like this. I felt the same way about Kyrie leaving Cleveland. To be honest with you, oh, he's mad at LeBron. He can't wait to leave LeBron. Nah, I no, no, I never thought that was the case in that particular situation. And I've expressed this on this camera many times. And hey, if I'm wrong, I could definitely be wrong because I don't know anything. But to me, it seemed like Kyrie was just trying to get out of there before Bron left. That's all. He just wanted to make sure that he wasn't on a bad team in the final year of his contract. Um, you're playing for money, so the last thing you want to be is 17 and whatever, whatever the math would be. So that would be the situation if he would have stayed there and Braun would have left. And I don't think he really wanted to be in Cleveland that bad, to say the least, because he got up out of there. So yeah. Now, did he land where he wanted to go? No, that's a whole other conversation. But at the same time, I felt like that was a whole strummed up narrative to kind of bring controversy to the subjects, So that's it. That's what I think this is as well. And as far as Rudy Gobert and where he could land, see, that's where it gets tricky because I don't really know because he's one of those players where eh, the game is kind of passed him by. Has he made a lot of defensive player of the years? Yeah, he has several of those, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, can still rebound the ball with the best of them. He's still huge human being who can do a lot of things on the basketball floor. But because Father Time is starting to catch up with him, and he doesn't shoot the ball, and he's not particularly good at scoring the ball. If he can't be defensively imposing, then we're looking at a player who's not really effective in this league. So he's reached a point where the last time anyone seen him, he was getting taken advantage of defensively, and that's supposed to be his calling card. And then on the other hand, you got people calling him out saying that he can't score. I think it was Jason Kidd who was just quoted saying, you know, are the guys we're facing in Phoenix and not like Rudy Gobert and Hassan Whiteside, they can score the ball, which I thought was a low blow. But at the same time, it's like, that's what Rudy has to deal with, regardless of whatever. That's what it is. That's what people think. So as he looks to be traded, and we look at his contract, which is definitely a supermax, um, it's very difficult to move. So I'm not really sure where he's at in regards to his contract. I should have checked that out before turning on the camera, but I didn't think about it for some reason. But either way, I'd imagine he's probably going to run you upwards of 40 million plus a year. So if you're going to deal with that, you respect the fact that you're bringing in a player that you may have to sit in order to win. And when it comes to stuff like that, we just got through watching Russell Westbrook. You see players falling off, or what appears to be players falling off all over the playoffs, great stars looking like they haven't played basketball before and stuff like that. And you just understand that people want to take less risk, to be honest with you. Looking at the Lakers collapse, people want to take less risk. I don't want to bring in a funny fit. We watched the Lakers bring in Russell Westbrook, and it was horrible, and now they owe him $47 million. Nobody wants to go that route with Rudy Gobert. And so, um, And also, I think Rudy hurt himself a little bit with that one incident where the COVID thing, and you know, Donovan Mitchell, when he was touching everything in the press conference and then actually had COVID. I think that really hurt him. I think that hurt him in a sense that now people are wondering where his maturity level is. Even though he's a vet in this league, where is he at? You know, bringing him in, is he going to be any type of a distraction, issue, problem, or what have you? And because he's only been in one locker room his entire career, people more so probably wonder, you know what I mean, rather than know. And so that's top it off, he's been in Utah his entire career. And so that means his exposure is even less. So it's like people only know what they've seen, man. And that's what it comes down to. So on top of his limitations that could be present and what the challenges could be building around him, you also deal with maybe some of those individuals who may feel that way, feel one way or another about bringing him into the locker room. So I don't know. This could get very interesting because he's not of value to anyone. To be completely honest with you, at that price, nobody in theory will want that. Like for example, as a Laker fan, would I want to swap him for Russell Westbrook? I mean, no, I wouldn't, because at least Russell Westbrook, I know for a fact his contract is expiring. If for some reason we can't move it, he's off the books at the end of the season. We just got to deal with this for 82 more games and we're out. And that's the worst case scenario. With Rudy Gobert, it's like, okay, I don't look at him as somebody we just don't want. He's certainly going to be our starting center until that contract expires. But when we run into certain teams, down he sits. You know what I mean? And at that price, it's like, okay, well, who you bringing in? You don't have a lot of money because obviously we got Bron and AD. Assuming we don't trade those two, bring in Rudy Gobert, that gives us a nice imposing centerpiece. You know, we got length for days. Certainly we control the glass every night, but I'm not sure if at the end of the day, Rudy Gobert is the right number 3 for Bron and AD. And nobody's thinking of that. I'm just letting my mind explore, but nobody's considering that anyway. At the end of the day, I'm not sure where he would go. That's the moral of the story. There are teams who may want a center who can play defense, but again, we just saw him get exposed defensively. And so if he would have had a fantastic playoffs, maybe we would have seen him dominate the entire time, particularly scoring the ball. You know, that might have made people feel a lot better about bringing him in, you know, because at least, hey, if he's giving up 3 points, we know he's a dominant force. Like someone else said, I don't remember who it was, but Shaq was like that, you know. Maybe Shaq wasn't necessarily getting out to the 3-point line when Dirk would shoot, but you best believe everybody on Dirk's team was in foul trouble because they couldn't guard Shaq. So that's, you know, Rudy's not doing that to you because he's not imposing offensively. Anyway, so I don't know, Rudy. I'm not sure, man. I can think of a few teams that really appreciate length and shot blocking. A team like the Orlando Magic comes to mind immediately. Obviously, they invested in Mo Bamba because he had the type of length, arm length that Rudy Gobert has. So I could imagine they might be intrigued by bringing him in and what he could do for their franchise immediately in the Eastern Conference. But again, they would still have to sit him in certain situations. That's the thing Rudy's going to have to deal with. He was exposed. So it's like, bro, are you ready to take a bench role? Some situations you may go to, they may actually ask you to sit. You know, you may find yourself going forward in situations where you're just not playing, and that is something he's not used to because Utah would never do that to him. But I do believe that the rest of the league probably will because Utah respected him in such a way to they kept him on the floor to their own detriment. And I do believe that was an organizational decision based on his contract, and I do believe it was to the detriment of their team. And I think they would have had a happier Rudy Gobert had they not done that. But people think as they think. And they kept him on the floor to justify the contract, which is silly in and of itself because he had earned the contract based on milestones that he reached. So it wasn't like you can't fake $200 million. You got to do things to get it, and he did those things. Now the question is, even in all of that, with all of that being said, does it incentivize the team to oblige him based on what the limitations are of the cap? And the answer is no. based on his limitations as a player and based on the limitations of the cap, no, you would never want to pay a player like him that money. So the system itself put Utah in a funny spot. But you always got to keep basketball first. That's what the Lakers taught me. Utah is the same situation. That's why I compare them to one another, because you always got to keep basketball first. Now, had if they set Rudy Gobert, sort of like the Lakers did in 2020 with Dwight Howard against the Rockets, they may have actually had a better situation. They may have actually, who knows, won the series, and then from there would have had more Rudy Gobert to play or sit. You know what I mean? Because you used him properly. And that's what it's all about. And no matter who you are or what type of piece you are, you just need to be utilized correctly. And so, that's what it's about. Rudy Gobert is going to have to find a place that can use him correctly. He's going to have to be willing to sit down. And he's going to have to accept the fact that he may land in a spot that they may want to stretch him. To be completely honest with you. He's going to have to really believe that, because that's going to knock him off his socks if for some reason he's not expecting that to happen. Like I said, this Russell Westbrook thing changed the game on us. I'm telling you, I don't know if my thought is reflecting what the market's going to be, but I can't see how it won't, given what we just seen in these playoffs and what we're about to see as these playoffs progress. You know, youth, spacing, depth, versatility, being able to put the ball on the floor, all these different things. With respect to Rudy Gobert, you just can't be him no more. There's no room for a player with his skill set no more. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality of it. You have to get better offensively, is what I would tell him. In your off season, you need to become someone who believes himself, who can be a 20-point scorer. And if 18, he ain't gotta jump up to 20, but you know what I'm saying? He has to be a real threat. He's too big, too long to not be able to knock down at the very least, 3 dunks a game. And with those 3 dunks, you should be at the line. So that's a minimum, man. So I don't know. I look at Rudy Gobert and just say he's going to have to commit to that. He's going to have to commit to that. Do whatever he needs to do to get better offensively. I don't care if you get out there and start practicing threes. I don't care, but he needs to make himself more playable in this league, or he's going to have to accept a lesser role or even retire. To be completely honest with you, and I believe he has a lot left. So, but when I say a lot, at a lesser role, he's just going to have to accept that. And then another thing he's going to have to accept is, if Utah is trying to choose between him and Donovan Mitchell, it doesn't make no sense to choose him. Not from based on what it is I believe. No, it don't make no sense. Nope. You got to keep the kid that you can build more so with. Donovan Mitchell is young. He's a guard, and there's no situation that he shouldn't be able to fit in. So that will not make any sense for their franchise, Rudy. Shaq had to live with that too when they chose Kobe. You ain't bigger than Shaq, and Donovan ain't no Kobe. So, needless to say, I expect one of them to be gone, if not both. I think they should both want out of Utah, man. Honestly, Utah should want an entirely new situation. Entirely. Just like the Lakers. I don't think start from scratch. That's the best way to build, man. Get your hand on some of these new young players that are going to be coming in the league over the next several years. Because the guys who have the picks are the ones that's going to really enjoy their time owning teams over the next 10 years. Because if you don't have young players, your team is going to suck and your fans are going to be unhappy. It's that simple. So Utah better get in the game. That's what I got to say to that. But anyway, that's what I got, man. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.